What's up, guys? Team Synergy again, bringing y'all another deck profile for the February 2018 ban list. Now, as y'all can see, this is a deck profile on zombies. But unlike all the other 60-card Lightsworn variants that you guys have been seeing on YouTube, topping like regionals and a bunch of other crap, this is mainly going to be a true zombie profile, meaning every single card in the main deck, except for 2 of the monsters, are going to be zombies. Now, with that said, let's get right into the profile. Alright guys, starting things off for the monster lineup, we're going to run the 3 Unizombie. He is one of the key pieces in any zombie deck. He pretty much is the playmaker. He ditches stuff to your graveyard, makes them live, and just starts handing out like levels to everything so you can just start making your plays. Now, in this variant, you want to play as many copies as possible just because you want to see him as much as possible. There's some variants that run 2. In this variant, I think 3 is a must-have. Now, for the Shiranui squad, we run the 3 Solitaire and the 1 Spectral Sword and the 1 Spirit Master. Now, Solitaire is probably the key piece in the combo. You want to see him in your first hand and any hand after that, just in general, because he gets you your Unizombie, which lets you just start going off with your plays. Now, the 1 Spirit Master and Spectral Sword, they're both good at 1, and I think they are perfect at 1, because Spectral Sword at multiples just clogs way too much, and Spirit Master is just really good at 1 itself. I could see people bumping him up to 2, but at 1 is fine, because once these 2 are in the graveyard and have been used, then they just keep recycling themselves anyways. Now, for Mr. Staple himself, in any single zombie deck is the Mizuki. He makes everything in your graveyard live. Just by banishing him, you can bring back anything, and it's not a once per turn, so you can use him as much as you want. Now, his brother-in-arms, Gozuki. We play the Gozuki now just because he is a better zombie master. And the fact he is still a 4, he still does pretty much everything Zombie Master does, but better. And then for the original zombies, we still play the 2 Goblin zombies because he is a dark level 4, and if his effect manages to go off, you can still do adequate things with him. He's okay. At 2 is good. We play the 1 Zombie Master just in case the Gozukis have already been used and they're in the graveyard and we just don't really have anything else to go into. We still play the 1 Zombie Master. And then for the last zombie in this list, we still play the 1 Plague Spreader. He is so beautiful, and we do need another tuner besides Spectral Sword, even though Spectral Sword is the main tuner. Plague Spreader is nice to see. Now, for the 2 last monsters in this list, we do run 2 Summoner Monks, just because, like I said, you want to see Solitaire as much as possible. And then Triple Fairy Tale Snow. Now, she is just absurd. The amount of plays you can make with her is just insane. She is always live no matter what, and you can do anything you pretty much want with her. As long as she is in the game and not banned, we're going to be running her in this deck. Now, that's pretty much it for the monsters. It was good enough to where everything was still consistent, but we don't like running Lightsworns and stuff like that because that's dumb, and we wanted pure zombies in here. All for the spells now, we're going to run the 3 Zombie Worlds and the 1 Terraforming. Now, in this variant, like I said, I want to see this card as much as possible just because I want everything to be zombies so I can use my opponent's cards and just steal them and do whatever I want. And this actually shuts down a couple of decks. Making everything a single type just makes things great. Now, 2 Book of Life, the Monster Reborn for zombies, it's good. If you're going second, going first and drawing this, it's pretty much just like, it's almost dead for you just because you need a monster in your opponent's graveyard. We still played it too, though, just because of how good it is mid to late game. I would not recommend running 3 just because of how cloggy it could be, though. And the fact Monster Reborn is back, then you can honestly probably even cut 1. 2 Gold Sarcophaguses, mainly for the Shiranui's effects. Like I said, you want to see Solitaire as soon as possible, so you can use it to get him, or mid to late game, you can use the Gold Sarks to get your Shiranui's effects from the banish pile, which again helps recycle the Spectral Swords, the Spirit Master, and the Solitaires all back. Now, the 2 most important and probably the MVPs of the entire spell lineup are the different dimension reincarnations. This card is just absolutely nutty. The amount of plays you can make with this mid to late game, get your banished Mizukis back, get any banished card back, and just let you keep combo extending is just really, really, really stupid. Next, we run 2 Twin Twisters in the main deck. It's good going second, destroying back row. This deck really doesn't matter going first or second just because you can make stuff. It's better going second though, but I would side them out and I would run a Foolish Burial and a Raigeki probably. But for right now, they're pretty good. Next, 2 Mass Change, because a good majority of the cards in this deck are darks, and Dark Law being Dark Law, why wouldn't you play it? It's really good. Next, you run 2 Pot of Desires, because it is the best drawing card in the game. Now, even though we run Mass Change because of the darks, I don't feel like Allure of Darkness is too good in this deck because there's not enough darks to efficiently run Allure of Darkness. I just think Pot of Desires is way better. Is a way better draw card in that sense. Next, we just run 4 one-ofs then, being Monster Reborn and Skill Charge, because these cards are stupid. And to get your stuff back, you run the Burial from a different dimension. You play it at 1 because at 2 and 3, you could run it at 2, but it is probably the worst dead draw in the entire deck early game if you have nothing. And then, of course, just Dark Hole, because this deck does not mind being in the graveyard. If you're below your own cards up, you can easily just bring them back. A good amount of spells, but like I said, because of Summoner Monk and everything, you want to be able to see Solitaire as soon as possible. Now, for the last couple of cards, we run 3 traps, being Time Space, Floodgate, and Bottomless Trap Hole, because I don't like having my opponent summon monsters, so just completely stopping them is what I like to do. You can totally run Call of the Haunteds. I've seen people run 3 Torrential Tributes now that they're back, and that's also really good, like I said, for the same reason as Dark Hole. Your cards don't mind being in the graveyard. Or if you have the money to blow, you can completely run Evenly Matched, or you can just run the Solemn Brigade, being 2 strikes and a Judgment. That's going to be it for the main deck. I still find it very consistent, and there will be more space to give once Vampire Sucker and Crystron Needle Fiber come out. But we'll get to that point when we get there. Alright guys, now for the extra deck. This extra deck itself is very, very limited. There were some cards that I got that I couldn't really just run just because I felt that stuff was so much better. For the 8s, we're going to start with Beals because it is Beals and he's absolutely absurd. He is just too good. I feel like you just must run him in this deck. The 1 Omega, of course, to get any card back from the banish pile, and he just completely just recycles himself and recycles everything in the deck. 1 Crystal Wing because he is broken as crap. 1 Scarlet Red Dragon, the MVP of the extra deck, just completely blow up everything that's 3,000 or less that was special summon, and then have the ability to still attack. I don't even know why that's a thing. The 1 Shogun Saga because he's pretty much just a beater, and he's a zombie. He recycles stuff. He can easily get to 4,500 up to 5k come late game. That's pretty much it for the 8s. Other than that, there wasn't really any other 8s that I really wanted to run. You could run Void Ogre, but like I said, the spacing is very tight, so I feel like these 8s were just good enough. The 2 7s we run are the Clearwing and Black Rose. Black Rose I probably will cut eventually for the Needle Fiber and the Sucker when she comes out. But as of right now, there was enough space to put him in if I need him to blow things up, and then Clearwing to help with established boards also. For the 6s, we run the Revive King Hades because it is zombies and Zombie World and everything. Also with the Doom Kaiser, Zombie World and Doom Kaiser, just snag whatever your opponent pretty much has in their graveyard. And of course the 1 Samurai Saga to go off with your Spectral Sword plays, make your Crystal Wings, and go off from there. All the synchros are very good and probably the key part in this deck. The only 2 Xyz monsters we play are Dark Rebellion and Tornado Dragon. The Dark Rebellion can be changed out with other stuff, but I like Dark Rebellion just because he's a 4, and you are able to get over stuff with him, and Tornado Dragon just because he is just such good back row destruction. But other than that, there are other 4s you could play. You could play Castell, you could play Honor Arc, or just any other rank 4 you really want. Next, just the 1 Dark Law because he is dumb and getting him out with like a Crystal Wing, Clear Wing, having him out with like Red Dragon and everything just completely scares your opponent, and you can literally just lock them down. And then for the last two monsters, we do run the Proxy Dragon and the Decode Talker. Now, another card I would run in here instead of maybe Proxy Dragon is Underclock Taker, just because you can bring him out so much easier. But as of right now, these two are really good. The Synchros are the main focus of the deck, which makes the deck kind of run a little bit slower. But as of right now, this is good. You can run Firewall in Saruja and stuff like that. Firewall does make this deck run fairly well also, but there will be an updated extra deck, of course, when Vampire Sucker and Needle Fiber come out. That's going to be it for the extra deck and the main deck and everything else itself. The deck itself, it runs fine, it's good, and there will be an updated version of it once all those new monsters come in. As of right now, the deck, it runs fine. I enjoy playing it a lot more than the 60 card variant, just because I like true zombies. I don't like playing the 60 card variant with like 85 engines. But other than that, guys, feel free to build it, test it out yourself, and catch us next time.